Hello, welcome to the Foreign Matters video blog titled Iran in the Short Term. Game over? For the short term, in these deadly times, it was pretty much over the day after the election, even as the first riots broke out. Once the supreme leader had spoken and praised the result, it was a matter of how many days and how much bloodshed there would be before his words became reality. Whilst reporting from Tehran during those first riots, I used the phrase game over, and I said what would follow would be political street theatre. And I was criticised on some websites for doing this, and I can see how it might sound callous, especially in the light of the killings. But I think the criticism is born of a lack of understanding about how revolutions and coups d'etats work. The demonstrators have been used by both sides in what is an internal struggle within the establishment, as well as a genuine explosion of popular anger. There are usually two scenarios in coups and revolutions. The easy one is where the intelligence and military men get together and agree a time and a date that they'll move against the leader. They seize the broadcast headquarters and the leader's building at the same time, and that's usually that. See numerous African and South American coups for more details. More complicated is the move where the same people watch closely as a popular revolt breaks out and spreads. If they're unhappy with the leadership and they have some sympathy for the protesters' aims, they bide their time, see which way the wind is blowing, and then they move to overthrow the leadership if they feel confident enough and if the protesters have reached critical mass. It helps if the rank and file of the security forces feel something in common with the rank and file of the demonstrators. See Romania and Serbia for details. And then you have the current situation in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Most Western media outlets, briefed by Western governments, invaded northern Tehran a couple of weeks ago, and they interviewed lots of people very like themselves, liberal, educated, open-minded people with iPods. As the blood then flowed, so did the ink flow, with talk of the youth of Iran is supporting the demonstrations. What was less written about was the massive youth presence in the Basij, in the Revolutionary Guard, and down in the alleyways and slums of South Tehran and across much of the country, and much of which look upon the protesters with some disdain. The demonstrations never reached critical mass, although last Monday, for a few brief hours, it looked like it could go either way. But even if it had, all the time the men with the guns were firmly on one side, the side which had declared Ahmadinejad the president. Yes, there are clear splits in the establishment, but not enough for violence between the establishment. The army, the police, the riot squads, the Basij, the Revolutionary Guards, and the intelligence services, there was barely a hint that they would switch sides. The world looked on in horror. 1 million Twitterers tweeted. Ban Ki-moon called for an end to the violence. 1,000 student blogs bloomed. And the guardians of the revolution just got on with ensuring they stay in power. What is happening is bloody, tragic, it's awful. Watching it play out before me, I was reminded of the line from The Tempest, "O brave new world that such people live in it." But a Shakespearean quote, humour, passion, and burning 100 refuse bins does not a revolution make, even when added to courage. What the protesters have done is to put a crack in the facade of the Islamic Revolution. They will have shaken the establishment, and on this they can build for the next time. The clerics and the nationalist hardliners, who are not always the same people, know they must do something. For some, the instinct will be to crack down and prevent any organisation from taking hold. Others will know they cannot hold back the tide forever. In the short term, it still looks like game over. I could be wrong. In the medium term, it looks like game on. That's Foreign Matters. See you next time.